All right, we are live. I got a couple of things to set up on here before we are completely live, but we are relatively live at the moment. And I just got in on loan the HP Chromebase. So we've had Chromebooks, Chrome boxes, and now we have a Chromebase. And this is an all-in-one that is a Chromebook, a Chrome OS all-in-one. So this came out a little while ago, and we just got it in, again, on loan from HP. And I just want to set up my little chat thingy. So let me get that going real quick. And then we will unbox this sucker and see what is inside. And then I'm going to review it a little bit later this week. So you might see this coming up on, today's Wednesday, maybe Thursday or Friday or Saturday, or Sunday, sometime in the near future. Romeric is here. Hello there. So yeah, we're just getting ready to kick things off here. And I've got to jet out by 4, but I think we'll be well into this by then. And then, of course, the review will come much later. Not too much later. All right, let me get my self-combobulated here. And what's neat about this is that it has a rotatable display. So as you can see on the top of the box here, you can have it in landscape or portrait. And it has carpet, like all these things do. And I think I'm going to shoot an unboxing video. I haven't done one of those in a while. So that is what we're going to start with. And then we will move on to the setting up the Chromebox, is where we will head with it next. So that is my plan at the moment. And bear with me for 1 second here while I configure my recording system. And we will get cooking on this in just a second. And give me 1 second here. And we'll get going. Hope you all are doing well today. It is Wednesday. I wanted to do this yesterday, but I ran out of time. Okay. And we got some folks popping in here. Preston is here. Thank you. I am glad you love my videos, and I love that you love watching them. Codeman is here. What's a Chromebase? So a Chromebase, apparently, this is an HP term, not a Google term. A Chromebase is a Chrome OS device that is a desktop all-in-one. So a Chrome box is a box that runs Chrome without a monitor. This has both, and you can rotate the screen, apparently. We will find out in a second when we get to the unboxing portion. David is here from South Wales. Welcome. Andy G is here. It is good to see you. Matthew Kelly is here. Hello there. Yeah, I haven't been streaming as much lately. Just from a time perspective, I haven't had, time. I've been so behind on everything for some reason. So I'm just trying to get caught up. I'm finally at a point where, today was kind of a catch-up day. So we are getting there. And it almost wasn't because my wife had scheduled the... So I live in an area where we don't have city water. We have a well. So our water comes out of the ground, and we have a well pump right in that door behind me there. And she had scheduled the well guy to come today. And I'm like, no, we got to reschedule the well guy. I got to get this done. So that's what happened there. All right, so I'm going to record an unboxing video. And then when we take it out of the box, we will get it set up. So I won't be interacting all that much until I get through with this recording. And then we'll go from there. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got another unboxing. Today we got in the HP Chromebase. This is an all-in-one Chrome OS device. So we've seen Chromebooks, which are Chrome OS-based laptops that run the Google Chrome operating system. We also have looked at Chrome boxes, which are little mini PCs that run Chrome OS. And this Chromebase is an HP term for an all-in-one where you've got the computer and the monitor in one piece. And we're going to unbox it in just a second, but I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this is on loan from HP. So we're done with this. It goes back to them. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this unboxing, nor has anyone reviewed or approved it. before we uploaded it. And I am actually streaming this unboxing live, which you can catch occasionally on my Amazon Live channel. And we're going to take this thing out of the box, and then we're going to have a full review coming up a little bit later in the week. Now again, this incorporates a display and a base in which the computer is located, so it's similar to maybe what you might associate with an iMac or something like that. And this is the overhead view as we get all the stuff out of the box here. And this being an all-in-one, let me give you the other angle here. This being an all-in-one, it's not that heavy actually, a lot lighter than my iMac is. Actually, yeah, it's got a little bit of weight to it now that I have picked it up. And I'll give you the other view here. So as you can see how it attaches, and we'll get this thing on the desk and a little better situated in a second. So this is the unit itself, and I'm going to put this box down and we'll continue in a second. Okay, so let me get this thing out of the box here. Make sure I don't spill my coffee here first. People love unboxings, don't you? All right, there we go. And I'm going to put this down over here. Make it visible in front of the camera, perhaps. Let's see. I got so much junk. It's crazy. All right. So let me just label this clip here, and then we'll continue onward. Okay. This will go up on the Extras channel a little bit later today. And trying to figure out how to, I gotta remember where all this stuff goes in the box, because when I send this back, I always forget like where the things go in, and it becomes like very, I always go back to the unboxing videos to figure out where this stuff ends up going. All right, so we're gonna cut back to the box here, if I can get it on the overhead. Well, I already put it down in the other shot, so we're just gonna mention these other two boxes that were in the box. That's how we're going to do this. All right. Okay. So we're going to kind of lift these up. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, so there are two other boxes in the box, a box within a box, if you will. And in here, and if I'll move this back a little bit so we can get the overhead of what's in this box, this looks like we've got the power supply. Yep, we've got the power supply here. This is a 90-watt power supply. Now, this particular Chromebase is running with an i3 processor, but they also have one of the lower-powered Intel chips as well. But if you can get it, the i3 is probably the better of the two from a performance standpoint. Got my AC cord here for the United States, and some warranty stuff here. And then this looks like the keyboard and mouse. Yep, so we've got the keyboard here. This kind of reminds me of the Raspberry Pi has a, actually it looks exactly like it. The Raspberry Pi has a little mini computer that is basically a keyboard. It looks a lot like this actually. And actually I have it over here. I'll show you what it looks like in comparison. They're very similar, a little different, but they look the same. And this Raspberry Pi here actually has the entire computer in the keyboard, believe it or not. Really neat little product. But this is the keyboard component. And it looks like under here, maybe this is for the battery. Let's see. It's like a little thing that you can move. All right, we'll come back to that in a second so I can do it without breaking it, but that's the keyboard. And then we have a mouse, and this looks like a wireless mouse with a switch on it. And I am guessing there is probably, yep, so batteries go in there. It looks like it runs on 2 AAAs maybe? And I'm hoping, well, yep, there's some batteries in here. Yep, 2 AAA batteries right in there. And there does not appear to be a dongle. Actually, we got 4 batteries, almost maybe 1 for the keyboard. So that's what that door is for on the keyboard there, is to get that going. And it looks like these are Bluetooth, so we don't need a dongle to take up one of the USB ports. And speaking of ports, why don't we unwrap the rest of the computer here and see what this thing has on board. Now, like a lot of HP products we've looked at recently, it has some nice carpeting on it here. It's got that gray HP look. On the back, we've got a power switch, headphone jack. We've got 2 USB Type-C ports here. One of them is labeled as a, actually no, okay, I see how they do this here. So we have 2 USB-C ports here, and then we have 2 USB-A ports over here. I can zoom in a little bit on those so you can get a better look at them. And then it looks as though the power cord goes in at the bottom here and feeds out under the base. The base feels super sturdy, so it has a really good weight to it. It's not going to tip over, even though it kind of has like a traffic cone kind of look to it at the back here. It actually feels pretty solid on the desk. Very heavy base. And one of the neat things about this, and we'll cover this in the full review, is that you can rotate the display, as you can see. It does sit kind of high, and I don't think there's a way to lower it. Nope, it's kind of locked in there. But you can rotate the display and get a portrait or a landscape mode to it when you are working on it. It looks to be like a 16:9 display, and I'll look up the resolution here in a second. It is quite shiny. I'm assuming maybe a touch display. We'll take a look at that in a second too. Okay. My unboxing videos always tend to be a little more verbose and a little less, not scripted, but a little less prepared. All right, so the next step here, it's pretty neat, huh? Is to get this booted up. And I hope that I can actually get it back in the box the same way I found it. That will be a challenge. All right. And Koban says here, I feel like a desktop all-in-one would be a better from an update longevity point of view. And Mark Dell says it is 321 Lon. That's right. Hey, Mark Dell. Haven't seen you on a live stream in a while. And you got my game face on. So has that been official? Because I know unofficially we could do that, right? I don't know if they have an official one yet. I'll have to take a look at that. And I got a new member here, Chris Downs. Thank you for joining the channel, Chris. We'll give you a shout out on the next wrap-up video. And batteries included. Yep. Yeah, and actually they're Energizers too. They're not like some generic brand. Energizer Maxes, no less. How about that? Yeah, it really does look like a traffic cone, doesn't it? And Michael's not a fan of the base. It's got a nice carpet to it. You don't have to vacuum it too often. Looks like a VLC. Actually, I wonder if a cat might use this as a scratching post. What do you think? I know I'm tempted to scratch it. Codeband says it is a conversation piece for sure. And if we quote GameSack, we could say Tate mode. That's right, that's his favorite thing to do. In fact, he reviewed a product that has a Tate mode. But the real terminology, of course, for the retro gamers out there is Tate mode. All right, so let's get the power connected here. Oh my goodness, this thing is pretty heavy. All right, so we're going to pop the cord in here. Get that going. And I'm going to look up the specs on this real quick because I want to make sure I've got the right knowledge base. So this one is a little more powerful than the one that's on Amazon. The one on Amazon is like less than $600. It's $527 right now. And the only difference, I think, is the processor and probably the storage. But it has a 21.5-inch screen. Let me go back to the post here on the store. Give me 1 second. I'm just looking for the specs on this so I have the right specs. All right. Almost there. Let's look this up real quick because I'm just curious. Okay, so this one has an i3. It has 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 1080p full HD display. So let me see if I can get the full specifications on this sucker. Yeah, so this one I believe has the i3 on board though, not, yeah, okay, so there's a Pentium option with a 6405U. Oh, okay, so that's still in this, in the regular desktop class of processor. This one has the i3. Now there's a couple of different RAM configurations, and I wonder how you might upgrade it if it's possible. Like how do you even get into this thing? I wonder if it like slides off the base or something, does it? No. So I'm going to look and see if they have a review video. It is touch. So that's pretty cool. And we do have to get into this thing to put the batteries in. And I'm not sure how to do that exactly. Let me just pull this back. There it goes. Okay, so you pull it back and you put the batteries in. So we're going to put the batteries in here and get this thing going. It does boot up pretty quick, doesn't it?
Do you want to activate Chromebox, the built-in?
No, thank you. Just like how this thing like shouts at you. You will install Chromebox. All right, so we're going to put the batteries into the mouse here. And that should start up right away, I think. Turn it on. And we'll do the keyboard batteries here too. So we've got the keyboard batteries in. It does look a lot like the Raspberry Pi keyboard thing. And we got to switch it on. Okay, so there we go. Now do we have to pair? I guess we must have to pair it up. So I'm assuming if I just hold down the pairing button that it's going to link up here automatically. Do the same here. Now I wonder if there's a Bluetooth button on the base itself, maybe. Doesn't appear to be. Oh, you know what? Maybe you have to go in. I guess you have to go in through the touch screen to do it, huh? Let me look at the instructions if I can find them real quick. So this looks like the warranty thing. Let's take a look. Yeah, so this likely has 4 gigabytes of RAM. I don't think I can get the system info yet until I kind of get it booted up. The odd thing is that the Bluetooth is disabled. So plug it in, select Google Launcher. Follow the, oh, I see. So they want you to use your fingers. This might be, huh. Because it doesn't mention how to get, unless that comes later in the process here. So you plug it in, select the Google, so follow the Google Chrome screen instructions to complete setup with your Google account, and then select the Google Launcher in the lower left-hand corner to open the Chrome desktop, and then it goes through all of that. But it doesn't actually instruct you as to how to get the keyboard to work. Now, I know how to get that to work, but I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of the consumer. What's the consumer going to feel? So let's go through some of the comments here. Missed a bunch of them. Let's see. And it is just 1080p. Matt here says that Steam requires 7 gigabytes of RAM. I've actually gotten it to work on lower powered Chromebooks before, but of course your mileage is going to depend on what you end up with here. And I don't know what is expandable on here. One of the things that HP does on their support YouTube channel is they have a, let me see if they have something here. They have a repair guide on most of their current products. Yep, so they actually have a video here on how to, so if you go to,
Service teardown, HP Chromebase.
here, I don't have this available on screen for you, but I'm going to put this link, first of all, in my Google Doc that I'm putting together, and I will put it into the chat, and you can actually see them take it apart. So that will answer some of those questions. I'm assuming you can, because they're talking about, yeah, they actually show a picture of getting the whole motherboard pulled out of this thing. So you have to, I'm just looking through this here. So you have to remove the clips on the top of,
Stand cover and remove.
okay, hang on a second. It's a project.
The 4 P2
'Cause you gotta take the
206
screen
plugs.
off first.
Secure the stand cover to the stand base. Release the external connectors from the cutout in the stand cover and slide the stand base out
Oh, it all
of the
slides
stand
out.
cover until you have access to the display panel cables. Finish
Yeah.
each display cable and disconnect them from the motherboard.
Yeah, I'm not doing all
Remove
this.
the display
They've got
panel
good
cables
video here,
from
so
the
we're just going to
routing
use
tab
this in the
of
video.
board. Remove the 6.
There's a
2
lot of stuff
Phillips
to
head
install.
screws and secure the speakers
Okay,
to the
so
stand base.
for the motherboard, I'm just looking through here. So you can replace the M.2 solid state drive
How to replace the M.2 solid state
and the memory modules also.
How to
And
replace
it's
the
got,
memory module.
and so the RAM is upgradable and the storage is upgradable. And it's got dual channel RAM as an option, but you have to configure it that way. But you can add it later if you want. But it's a process to get into it. It doesn't look like there's any glue on this, but it looks like you do have to take apart a lot of things to get into that. All right, so my assumption here, because my mouse and keyboard, let me boot it up again now that these things are on and see if it maybe pairs up with it now. So let me turn it back on here and see if that does something different this time. Okay, see, all right, so now it did it. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that your keyboard and mouse are activated when you first turn it on. And I may have screwed it up because I hit the pairing button initially when I first booted it up. All right, so we are making progress here, everybody. Well, this one has 16 gigs of RAM, so this thing's pretty decked out. All right, so let me see where I left off on our last clip of the unboxing here. And then we will continue onward with our exploration of this. This is certainly a unique PC. So all the guts of the PC are in the base here, but to get at it, it's not hard. It's not like an Apple thing where you've got glue and all this other stuff, but there's a lot you have to take apart to get to it. And that link that I put in the chat, if you watch that, you can see the whole process. And I'm glad HP does that because it makes, first of all, it makes my life easier. All right, so let's take a look here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing around with this a little bit more. So I'm going to put this back in pairing mode here and see if that... Okay, so the mouse got paired. There we go. All right, so let me do... All right. And the last clip was... Rotate the display, as you can see. It does sit kind of high, and I don't think there's a way to lower it. Like a 16 by 9 display, touch display. We'll take a look at that in a second too. All right, so we're going to take it from here, and we'll continue onward. And we'll go from there. No Ethernet on the back of this, is there? Nope. No Ethernet. I mean, I guess you could plug in a USB Ethernet if you wanted to. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we've got it now. 3, 2, 1. So we've got it booted up now, and one thing that I suggest you do before you turn it on, because I made this mistake, is to get the batteries into the mouse and the keyboard here. And you saw me struggling with that earlier. What you have to do is just get your fingernails in there and just pop open that bottom case to get the batteries in. So put those batteries in, turn them on, and then boot the machine up. It found my mouse because I put it into pairing mode, and there's a pairing button on the back of the keyboard here. And I did not see any instructions as to how to do this in the manual, but you do have the ability to use the touch screen here if you want. This one, as I mentioned, has an i3 processor inside. They also have a lower spec Pentium version available. And I have to type in some keys here. And this one has 16 gigabytes of RAM in dual channel mode, but there are a bunch of different memory configuration options. HP has a video on their repair YouTube channel that will show you how to upgrade it. So you can upgrade the RAM, the storage, and you can swap out the wireless card if you want. So there is some upgradability to it. Doesn't look like it's too hard to get into it, but there's a lot of stuff you have to unscrew to get into the computer to get the motherboard accessible. And then, of course, we can go here and just get started getting our Chromebase set up. The display is a 1080p display, and as you can see here, it does rotate and it will adjust its orientation. And what I'm going to do next is get this thing set up, and then we're going to have a full review on my main channel very shortly. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right, so that's the end of the unboxing video. I haven't done one of those in a while, and they get a lot of traffic. So I'm going to finish that up here, and then I'm going to get my... Yes, we're looking at about 5 minutes for the unboxing, not bad. Okay. Yeah, I glitch a lot. It happens a lot to me. So like you can see 3, 2, 1, you know. So we've got it booted up now. Yep, see that's my glitching. Probably broke my there's no space-time continuum in this office. All right, so I'm going to get into my network here real quick. And we'll go from there. So we're going to connect to my Wi-Fi 6 access point. I do not know if this has Wi-Fi 6 on board. We'll find out. And then we're going to log into my test account and see what it's got. And Cobian says, I didn't know you can play back the recording on stream. Yes, so I use vMix, and I guess you could do it on OBS as well. But I use streaming software called vMix, and vMix is pretty amazing. It's a very powerful streaming software, and it gives you a lot of what you would typically have in like a broadcast control environment. So I can record something and stream at the same time, but then I could pull up the recording and just play it right back. So I do a lot of that. In fact, that's my workflow, is I go and record a segment, and then what I do is play it back while I'm working on it to make sure I got what I wanted to say. I cross off my thing on the list that I keep, and then I move on to the next component. All right, so we are going to set this up for me. Yeah, you know, the display sits higher than I would like. But I don't know if that's a deal breaker for everybody. And it looks like it's got a adjustable, yeah, see that, the screen brightness. It's got a sensor on there. So we're going to sign into my test account and get going with this. Oops, wrong account. I can't get over how much this reminds me of that Raspberry Pi computer. It feels just like it. Okay, so now it's coming up. The code name for this version of Chrome OS is called Puff, which I guess it kind of looks marshmallow-y, doesn't it? All right. Ooh, you know something? They're calling this a Chromebase on Google, so I guess maybe that is the term. All right, so we're going to go through the rest of the setup process here. Google Assistant works here as well. And I've set up my voice match already, so we'll just get started here. Boom. This thing feels pretty quick. All right, so the first order of business, as with everything on this channel, is we need to update it, make sure it's all up to date. Here's something interesting, is that the terminal is on here already. Maybe, it's probably because I've synced it with other things. So the last Chromebook we used had that set up. All right, so let's go. This thing feels really quick. I'm so used to like Chromebooks feeling sluggish that this one feels like pretty quick. All right, so I'm going to go down to the About and check for updates here. And I have a feeling we'll be updating to a new version of Chrome OS. And the other question is, can we plug this sucker in to an external display, which we shall explore now. Just trying to see if my cable will reach. I don't know if it will. Oh, I think it might. It won't. I don't have a long enough cable here. I can maybe just move it over a little bit closer to the screen. Might be easier for you all to see it too. I'm just curious if we can get video output out of this thing. So I'm plugging this in now to a docking station, and the docking station works with both Thunderbolt-equipped computers and non-Thunderbolt-equipped computers. And I'm going to put my coffee over here so I don't spill it. So this is the HP Chromebase. It says an i3. Let's get the specs on this thing. They're actually doing a briefing on this, which I'll watch later to see what other things there are. One thing I was disappointed with is that it doesn't have an HDMI input. I thought that would be really cool to be able to have a display that you can very easily turn into tape mode, tate mode as they say. But it does that transition very quickly, doesn't it? This is one area where I don't mind having extra bezels either, because you have a little more flexibility there. All right, so I have that hooked up. And what I am curious about here is whether or not it has detected a secondary display, which it has not. So I'm not sure if this can do external video output. However, I did not have that configured, and the reason is I just shot a video on, I did an update on the GeForce Now service yesterday, and so I had an NVIDIA Shield hooked up to my video system, so I had the cable still connected to that. So let me plug this in here. Okay, so let's see if it picks it up now. And it could be it just doesn't like the docking station. That's another possibility. Oh, there it goes. Okay, yep. It works. So what I can do, although it just froze up. There it goes. Okay. So what I can do is give you a secondary or a better look at the screen. And we also get to do now a reboot. Let's see if it picks it up. Yeah, so there you go. All right, but it wants to reboot. Now, let's see how much we can output on the other display. Because I can support 4K on that. I'm going to turn this off for a second because my thing tends to crash. And if we go 4K, now the max it's going to do, though, is 30 hertz. So this is not going to support, although it could be the docking station's limitations. So I need to check that before we do anything else. All right, so the next thing we need to do is do our update. So let us update our. So far, I'm pretty happy with the speed of it. It feels, I'm so used to these like really low-powered Chrome devices that this one feels pretty nice. And right now we're just going to do that update real quick, and I'm going to bang in just a few more items from my little spreadsheet. Now, here's something else that's interesting. They have two different speeds of RAM available. They have DDR2400 and DDR2666. I don't know what difference that would make on a Chrome device, but there you go. It does support Wi-Fi 6. It does not, though, have a fingerprint reader, so you have to log in with a password every time. That's what it appears like, although it might have face recognition, so we'll see if it does that. All right, we're back up. And let me get the NDI up here again so you can see what I'm looking at. And boom, okay, perfect. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, so let me get some notes put in here before I break it. Now it says it has 4 DIMM slots for memory. I'm going to have to check that. It should only have 2. I'll need to check that on the repair video. This does not, though, support the faster Intel graphics that we've been seeing lately. So it's just standard Intel UHD graphics. Both of the so the USB-C ports are 5 gigabits per second each. They support power delivery to a device, DisplayPort 1.2. And I think DisplayPort 1.2 trying to get a feel for. Okay, so 1.2 supports 4K at 60 hertz. So it was the HDMI output on so it does support 60 hertz output out to whatever monitor you're plugging into it. And I'm just going to add the teardown video. All right. This would make a really nice PC, actually, now that I think about it. All right, now let me just grab my app here again. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Grayson Petty. Much appreciated. And Mark says you can use a PIN code with it, which you could do. Right, exactly. Give me 1 second, everybody. All right. So the next thing we're going to do here is just kind of wait it out for all the stuff to get installed, which I think it has. By the way, it also detected the Ethernet that I have on the docking station that I've attached to it, so that seems to be working. And USB-C supports DisplayPort. Oh, it's still downloading stuff. 1.2 for 4K output. So this display is 1080p, but you can output 4K if you want. And what I'm also going to do while this is going is we're going to get the Linux environment set up, because we always like to install some Linux stuff on it too. And I just want to see if, oh, so Google announced it as an alpha. So how do we get it? Okay, so on select Chromebooks, so this was announced yesterday. And it's coming soon, so it's not yet live. It's going to be for a small set of Chromebooks. And there's a post in the forums, but that's about it. All right, so here we are. We've got my terminal window here, and what I'm going to do is get everything updated. And we'll let this go through. And what we're doing right now is it's updating the Linux subsystem. And what it is doing also in the background here is it's downloading, so it syncs up all of the things that I typically have installed in this account. So this does take a little bit of time to set up, but the good news is that I get my system kind of where it needs to be to test things out. All right, so we're done there. And what I also like to do here is install LibreOffice. And this will give us the ability to kind of demo some of the Linux things that you can run on this. And Big Lou in New Jersey is watching on Amazon. Hello there. We got some other people popping in here. Robert Branch is popping in. Rich Daly says this will be good for the education market. They can use bases as traffic. Yeah, that's right. You can take them out of the computer lab and use them as traffic cones. And Brian has been trying out Chrome Flex on a thumb drive. Yeah, it's kind of neat to have a little thing you can boot up. I don't have a picture of the ports. We did look at them a few minutes ago. Basically, you got two USB-C and two USB-A's back there. I could probably flip this around so you can see it. And you can see what the ports look like here. I'll pull the camera in on it just to give you a better look. Bear with me for 1 second here. And it looks like it's got a little fan output here. I don't hear the fan yet. But there are the ports. So you've got two USB-Cs. And these are 5 gigabits per second, but these two are 10, which is kind of funny. Usually the USB-C ports are the faster ports. All right, let's rotate this around here. Definitely unique looking, I think. But the only movement you have of the display is this way. And what's interesting, here, check this out. So I have it mirroring the display. Actually, it's doing it right. So if I cut to, so you see how it it has the output mirror it, and then it goes the other way. Although, you know what? The display is freezing, I think. No, it's moving. Never mind. It was just loading. And then it goes back. Oh, does it put it in tablet mode? I think it might be. Let's try this real quick and see what happens. Oh, no, it runs Windows. Let's put Windows, because it doesn't run Windows. It has Windows visible. You know, it'd be kind of neat now that I look at this, like having the ability to detach the display. That might be kind of neat. So Big Blue wants to know, what are we looking at today? We are playing around with the HP Chromebase, which you can find linked if you're watching on Amazon on the in the product carousel below. Grayson says I could rotate my thing. Yeah, that's right. You probably could do that, couldn't you? And yeah, at least according to the specs, that's what they've got there. Yeah, I agree, Mark. I don't know, what the thought process was around not having any Ethernet, but you can always plug it in. Not hard to do, but you give up a USB port to do that. OC My Brain is here. And Excess Smoke is saying Linux installer keeps crashing for some reason. Random freezes are also a thing for now. Is that on the Linux side, or is that across all Chrome devices, or is it just this one? All right, so we're gonna leave here because we've got that stuff installed, and if we load this up, it's gonna get, yeah. So you can see when you've got a decent Intel chip how much faster this Linux stuff is, because these things work fine on some of the Chromebooks we look at, but they're never this snappy. It never feels like, a super quick experience here, but there you go. And so what's nice about, the fact that you can run Linux apps is that once you get them installed, you can kind of use them as native apps. And to some degree, I think this gets people in the door faster for Linux, perhaps, than they otherwise would, right? All right, so we got that going. There was a request about Android apps, so let's take a look and see what we've got here. And as you know, these things run Android apps. And let me see what I have for, I've got a bunch installed already. Let's update all of our apps. There's a few updates that it has to do. Ooh, you know what we need to check is the DRM info. So let's have a look at that. This one, oops, is Widevine L3 still. And it thinks it's running on a phone. Oh, I guess I can change it to a tablet mode there. All right, so they call this Google Puff. And the Widevine, oh, it is L1. Wait a second. It was L3 a second ago. So that might be different than usual because, let me see what we've got here. This is, I always get confused on Widevine. Give me 1 second here. Because in the past, if I'm not mistaken, these things have been Widevine L3. Or it might have been the other way around. Okay, so according to this, we'll put this to the test now. According to this, because it is Widevine L1, we should be able to run HD Netflix as an Android app. In the past, you were not able to do that. So why don't we put that to the test? It could be because this has an integrated display, which might be why they allow that. But let's take a look and see. I have to log into my Netflix account here. Because typically what happens is that if you run the Android version of Netflix, you often, and I can't show you any of this, unfortunately, you get stuck with the 720p version of the video. And right now it's not giving me 1080p, or at least it's not telling me it is. It's giving me the other one here. Let's go back to, I'm just going to look up the stats on Netflix. List app settings. Usually it tells you the Widevine version somewhere in here. Yeah, so although it's reporting Widevine level 1, Netflix says it's running L3. Yeah, so the maximum is SD, and it's saying Widevine L3, although the app was reporting L1. So that leads me to think that it still suffers from the same issues, which is unfortunate because you've got this big screen, you're going to want to play things in HD. So that includes YouTube also, because YouTube typically defaults to 720p in its app. Then it gets confusing because they have a YouTube button here, which is not YouTube. It's a YouTube website versus the app. And people get confused by this stuff all the time. So my advice to people is to run all this video stuff through the browser and not through. We could actually watch me do this video right now. Let's go over to. I'm just curious to see what the max resolution we can run a video at is. And we'll see what we get here. All right. You got to give YouTube credit. They play ads for their competitors, right? I guess they have to. They can't really refuse that. All right, so this is running as the Android version. And if I go to quality, yeah, so the most it's going to give me here is 720p, I believe. Let's take a look. Yeah. Let me go advanced. Oh, it says it can go higher. All right, so let me push to the 1080p 60 and see if it can do that for us. So this might actually work. Although you saw that it was defaulting to 720p. All right, so if we go back in here. All right, so now it's 1080p 60. So this is playing back. Oops. So let's see if I get the stats for nerds up. This is playing back at the proper resolution. And I cannot get the stats for nerds up on here, I don't believe. I have to hit that before, did I? Yeah. But I can't get the playback statistics on it. But it was defaulting to 720p a second ago. All right. So the next thing we're going to do. Yeah, Mark, you can just you try hard enough. You can. Very true. Very true. Mark is wondering where the headphone port is for the external speakers. So there is a headphone port in the back, but it has speakers built in. And I guess we could play back that video we were just playing. Let's see, turn the volume up here. Actually, you know what? It wasn't playing any sound a second ago. Let's see. Maybe I had the sound off? Huh. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything out of this. Oh, you know what? I bet you it's going through the HDMI. That's what's happening. So we're going to go to output speaker. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything out of this. There it goes. Oh, you know what? I bet you it's going through the HDMI. That's what's happening. So we're going to go to output speaker. Yeah, there we go. So it was pushing it out the HDMI. That is what happened there. Okay. So what else do we want to do? So let's take a look at the Android stuff. I'm actually curious. I'm going to load up Crossy Road here. I am curious how this might work. Whoa, it's pretty loud. What is my age? I think I'm 45 still. I'm losing track. What happens if I rotate the screen? Oh, look at that. So you can have like a super big game of Crossy Road. See how big that is? Seems to be running okay. It's got nice stereo sound. You know what's nice about this too is that no matter what, the speakers are oriented the same way, right? Because the speakers are in the bass, so you're hearing stereo. And then I could always go back to this orientation if I wanted to. It's pretty cool. So that works. And how do we get out of this thing? All right, so, oh, did I get eaten by that bird? I think if you don't move quick enough, the bird gets you. And it's funny, this camera angle makes it look smaller than it is. So this is a 21.5-inch display on this, in case you're wondering. Now, Ed Horn is finally getting the Chromebook that he ordered a while back. I'm assuming that was the tablet, right? And yeah, Pokemon Go is probably not going to be a go on this one. And yes, we should install RetroArch on here because I'm curious on the Tate mode how that might work. So let me go and I think I might already have it installed. I don't. So let's go to Google Play. And we'll install that. And what I'm going to do while that is going is I am going to grab, I'm going to grab a file off my NAS. Because I'm going to grab like an old arcade game and see if we can get it to run in that mode. And I'm pretty sure if we load up the File Explorer, I think there's an Android, yeah, it's a Play Files area. So I'm just going to grab some files here. Macwin wants to know, can you connect? Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, I have my controller right here, so we're going to try that in a second also. And what I want to do first is I want to just grab an arcade ROM that I am pretty sure will work. The one challenge with MAME is that they keep changing the ROM structure on this thing, so it'll work 1 minute and not the next. It's always a pain to struggle with that. But I'm just going to grab Zaxxon, which is a really simple game to emulate. And we're going to throw that on the so that just downloaded. I don't know where it's downloading to. It didn't go there. They never make this easy on this stuff. No, let's allow. There we go. Okay, so now that's done. Ah, perfect. Okay, so you want to go to download. Okay, so that's going to download real quick. And then we're going to close this out, and we're going to go to RetroArch. Now what I want to do is tablet, and I'm curious, oops, if I adjust the, see this is where it gets tricky, right? Can I go? Oh, I can, okay. So let's see what happens here. And before we do this, we've got to get this controller connected too, right? So let's do that. And I'm going to go to settings. And we'll go to Bluetooth. And I'm going to turn this on real quick. And so now we're going to connect up this Xbox controller. It should find this because it does work with game controllers. If not, I'll plug it in. I've got it pairing right now, so let's see what happens here. Paired devices, unpaired devices. It doesn't see it. If not, I'll just plug it in directly. Usually these work with Chrome devices, so let's take a look and see what happens there. Flood of Sins is here. And yes, we're going to get some tate going on. And yeah, it could be cool with vertical pinball games too, absolutely. And Michael, yes, this is the Core i3 version. So it is the top of the line, if you will. As top of the line you can get with one of these things. Yeah, let me plug it in with a cable directly, because it seems like it doesn't. Oh, there it is. Now it found it. Took it a while. Just quicker with the controller. All right, so we're good. So that's there, and I don't know. Oh, look at that, it's already working. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go over to Load Core. I'm going to download one of the MAME cores. And I have no idea if this is the one that's going to work or not, but let's try this. And we're going to go back to some content here. I didn't like that one, huh? Let's try that one. See if this one works. All right, so let's load core. Let's load that core. Load content. Oops. Did my thing not download? Where'd it go? Here it is. And let's try that. Work. Ah, perfect. Okay, so now we just have to, that looks awesome. Actually, it kind of looks awesome. I got to get rid of this stuff on the bottom here. There we go. Okay. Now I don't hear anything. So we got to work on the sound. And it is, so I'm guessing we would have to get the, you're not getting any sound out of it. Let me just make sure I've got the audio routed the right way. Yeah, it's on the internal speaker. So the controls work, but the sound doesn't. This might be one of the games that required one of those Oh, that's right. This probably requires samples. I forgot about that. I'm getting a lot of shimmering too as I'm playing it here. And this would obviously look better on a more traditional display, right? Because, you know, a standard low definition display. Because it is not using, or it uses all of like a standard NTSC display from the 80s, you know, CRT. But it works. And you certainly will get more Zaxxon this way than in this mode, right? Because that's how it normally looks on a typical display of this nature. But if we tate it, so I think there is some potential here. Pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely, you know, you definitely get a lot more bang for your buck here. I was not getting any sound out of it, but I think that's probably my fault, not the machine's fault. Maximum RAM allowed, I think, is 16 gigs. That's at least the biggest that they offer. And watching my NAS just got here, and yes, this is one of my favorite games. Now, I had this game on the ColecoVision, and I was really good at it on the ColecoVision when I was in second grade. And then I went to the arcade. My arcade got it, and the arcade that I went to was at my bowling alley. And when I went to the arcade in the bowling alley, it destroyed me. So I will say the only issue I'm seeing with it is a lot of shimmering, and it's likely just due to, you know, having to make adjustments to the emulator. So it's definitely not, you have to adjust everything to get it to not look so shimmery-y that way. Let me see if it looks better in this orientation. Yeah, it shimmers this way too. So not perfect, but I think if you could imagine having a 21.5-inch tablet, that's what you have. That's what you have here. But it's not ideal for pen because it's attached to the base. And Mark Dell played the heck out of this on the C64. And yeah, the RAM, the SSD, and the Wi-Fi can be changed out on this. And yeah, I think there are ways that you can make adjustments to it. Let me hit the back button here if I can get out of this. And I'm sure there's probably an option that I could adjust on this to get the display looking better. Video layouts. Let's see. I mean, there's a lot. As you all know, with this, you can spend hours adjusting everything. But on a quick boot, it does work, and you can get more screen real estate because you can rotate the display like this. And what's nice is that it's so fast in that transition. You know, it feels faster than Windows does. And to some degree, it feels faster than some Chrome tablets I've used as far as transitioning from one to the other. And it stays in desktop mode when you move it. So you can see here I've got a movable window. So typically when these things become tablets, everything goes full screen. So you maintain that control. And then if I go like full screen here, so conceivably what you could do is you could have this display this way and then have another display next to it in the other orientation if you want. Or, because I think you can output two displays at the same time, you could have this one in the middle, and you know what I mean? Like you can adjust how all the displays might output on it. Although, interestingly, no, maybe it's just, let me see what this looks like in this mode here. Yeah, so it does cut off some of the text here. See that? If you look right there. It was just the image. It might just be how they had the image aligned. So you can see telescope alignment evaluation image. Isn't that wild? That's from the Webb telescope. It's already picking up galaxies. Isn't that wild? Yes, all the elements are in the right place. I don't think they were anticipating such a narrow view. Let me resize the window here. Yeah, so normally this would, if this was like a mobile, because they have a responsive design on here. So they actually changed the image. Yeah, it just doesn't align, but everything else looks fine here. Let's go look at Amazon. Yeah, pretty neat. All right, so let's try a couple other things here. So I'm curious about Game Pass. Should we try that? So let's go Xbox Game Pass. Is it play.xbox.com? Yeah. No. Nope. Forgot what the... Let's go and sign in and see. I'm sure we can figure it out from there. All right, so I'm going to sign in real quick. We could also do Stadia. I have a Stadia. I didn't realize this, but I actually have a game on Stadia that I must have gotten for free with it at some point. So like we can boot that up too. And the speaker, yeah, the speaker is really loud on it, and it's stereo. So you can actually hear stereo separation out of it. So that's pretty cool. And Michael says, I thought about buying this on eBay, and the HP customer service guy tried to tell me it wasn't a touchscreen. No, it sure is. At least this one is. Mark wants to know, can you force tablet mode? That's a good question. Let's see. I don't think you can on this one. I always preferred it this way anyhow. All right, so I'm going to log into my Microsoft account here real quick. And bear with me. This takes me about an hour because I've got a bunch of things to go there. Max is asking, is this the Pentium Gold or the i3? This one is the i3. So this will be a little faster than the Pentium, but the Pentium comes from the same family of chips, I believe, as the i3 does. So this is not the lower powered Gemini Lake chips, from what I gather. I'd have to double check that to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Hang on, everybody. All right, so let's go and log into my Microsoft account here. And we'll put the code in here. Okay, so we're going to check out some Game Pass, see if we can get Game Pass to work on here. Okay, so I already am a member, so how do I play? Maybe I go to play here. There we go. Xbox.com/play is what we need to do. All right, so all right, so we can just pop into a game here and start playing. And I always like to do Forza Horizon 5 just because it seems to be the best. Now it's funny, there it goes. Okay, so the controller's connected. It says the browser isn't supported, which is interesting because this is Chrome. It should work, and I'm positive it will. So we'll continue anyway. And we'll play some Game Pass, see how that works. That's one of the things, whoa, that's loud. That's one of the things that I like about Game Pass is that it's like ubiquitous at this point. It just works everywhere. That loaded up quick, didn't it? It's syncing data up. The visual quality does not look spectacular. And it could just be the nature of how this runs on the browser. And what I could also do is try the Android app and see if that works better.
Treasure chest. Does it look like this?
That's the one. Enjoy it. I tried to explain to Horizon Finance about payment structures, but they're already getting.
I always forget how to get back into the game also, right? All right, so back. I think I can just do that to drive, right? Yeah. There we go. And I'll give you the full up view here. Yeah, it seems to be it looked fine. You know, the resolution isn't great, and I think this might be the reason. It might just be because it's running in the browser. And what you're seeing on screen is some glitchiness with my video system. I'm going to try to connect it a different way later. Can I get the brightness up on the display here? Look at that in a minute. That feels good. It feels like how it usually feels on a web browser. What I'm not sure about are the I'm not sure about what the brightness level is of the display.
Horizon, they just called me to say one of you superstars solved all of the riddles and found that chest. So no more treasure hunt. That was fun though. I know.
Yeah, looks good.
To my album somewhere out there in Mexico, and you all can go searching for it.
And I think this one runs at kind of like a purposely lower, you know, the bit rate on Game Pass is not spectacular. But what we can do is check out GeForce Now, if we want to do that. Or we can do Stadia, whichever. Okay. Yeah, Mark says yeah, I was ultra compressing it for you. And Michael says that the biggest gripe that he heard from folks was that the screen wasn't as bright as people expected. Yeah, let me check that because I don't know if I never even looked at the brightness. So here's the brightness all the way. Yeah, it's not incredibly bright. It looks a little brighter to me looking at it than it might look to you on camera. But it's not incredibly bright. And yeah, Michael, I'm glad this was helpful to you because I was trying to get one of these in for a while. This has been out for a few months now, but I think supply constraints made it so they didn't have many available for reviewers to get. So there's about to be, so I know they sent this to me and a few of the other PC reviewers out there, people that cover Chromebooks. So there's going to be a bunch of reviews coming soon on this. In fact, I'm playing hooky from a briefing that they're doing right now on this to the reviewing community. So I'm sure you're going to see more on it. But it does feel pretty quick. All right, so what else can we do here? So we got that done. I probably need to work on recapturing video. We got the Linux installed. What I haven't done is the benchmarks. And actually, I'm curious if I can do my 3D Mark benchmarks on here. So it looks like it is on here. It's installed already too. Perfect. So let's do that. We'll put it in tablet mode here. So it's funny, it says Slingshot is not compatible. This one is. Okay, so let's do that one. And we'll do Wildlife. Wildlife is not compatible. So Slingshot is the best we can do. And we'll just run this in, oops. So I always like to do my benchmarks. And I should have, yeah, it doesn't give me the ability to run the unlimited one. Macklin wants to know, does 1080 Netflix work in the browser? It should. I will double check that, but typically it does. And that's the case with all of these. And we'll let this benchmark run out real quick, just to get a feel for that. And we'll run the browser bench test on it in a second also, just to get that done. And then I got to go in like a half hour here, because I've got a call, another call. I live on conference calls. Even after like things have gotten less locked down, people seem to like the calls. And Michael wants to know, does it have USI stylus support? I don't know. I will need to find out the answer to that question. I am going to get a bunch of stuff emailed to me, so I will have some idea. I doubt it, just because it's not practical to use the pen on this in this orientation. All right, so that is the result of the test here. And this is on the 3D Mark Slingshot test. And this came in right where you would think it would. You know, it's interesting, the performance level with the i3 is pretty much the same as an NVIDIA Shield. The graphics capabilities, though, so it's more CPU than GPU, unfortunately. But it's also running in its own little environment, so that could be 4974. So it's probably up one notch here. But the graphics performance is not as good as the Shield is. But the physics performance is on par with it. So the CPU isn't bad on here. That's why it feels so zippy. But graphically, it's not, you know, it's not a gaming machine, obviously. Unfortunately, I think it's kind of a neat design. I just like this idea of the rotatable display, right? I mean, I think that's really cool. All right, so now we're going to do the speedometer test. I'm going to do a quick reboot just to get it nice and fresh for us. So we'll shut it down and reboot it. You can see how fast it comes up. It is super quick. He says. You have to hold it down here for a second. Maybe there it goes, okay. But once it boots, it's like, boop, there you go. Okay, so now we'll pop back in. And we'll let her settle down for a second, and then we'll load up the browser and do the speedometer test. Okay. So now we'll pop in here and Go over to the speedometer test, and we'll begin it. Red Hornet is here. Hello there, over on Amazon. Oh, hey, Kevin is here. So Kevin is from HP, and the Chromebase is actually a Google term. We've been having fun with this. So I'll need to correct that for my unboxing a little later. I'm sorry I missed the call, Kevin. I was engrossed with it, so I'll watch the replay. And Joe Tyson is here. Hello. But yeah, it's been good so far. And run through our tests with it and see what it does. But the coolest thing I think is that, well, I'm going to wait for the test to finish, but the coolest thing I think is that you can just rotate the display and be done with it. And we got a score of 120. Let me check and see how that stacks up here. So if I go to our, yeah, just about where I would expect it to fall with the chip that it has. So a nice even number. And yeah, so we looked at an HP Chromebook maybe last year with the same chip, the X360 Chromebook, and this comes in, the same chip, so it came in exactly where it did, which is totally fine. So this is an i3-1011U. Yeah, I had intended on starting this earlier, but I got tied up with an edit that I was working on for tonight's video. Okay. So there you go. And then if you're just tuning in, oops, you can do this, and it will rotate into Tate mode here for you. And you get this like huge web browser. And go full screen with that sucker. Look at that. And then you can hook two displays up to it, so you can have this sitting next to a display in a different orientation, because you can run the displays out of the USB-C ports, and it will do 4K out, even though it's 1080p on the internal. Pretty cool. So if you've got like a lot of documents to look at, if you're a lawyer or something, this could be good for that. But since it's nice is to have a lot more text on the screen so you're not scrolling as much, right? Then you can just do this, and it puts it back into, it's going to be hard to shoot this because I have to keep adjusting my camera angle. But pretty cool. Yeah, it looks like if this is a Google term, and that's what Kevin just said from HP, it is a Google term, so it looks like Chromebase is a class of machine. So I think we'll be seeing more Chromebases out there. I would love a Windows computer that would do this. I think that's kind of cool. I would just like a display that does this so easily. I guess there are some out there, right? But I just like the fact that you don't have to do anything to make it do that. It just does it. And I guess that's right. Mark Smith makes a good point. Yeah. So the reason why it's so high on the base here is because, right, it's going to hit bottom if you. And I guess it would be kind of inelegant if you had to keep adjusting the height of the display. I guess it does angle up and down a bit too. So if you're doing a standing desk, you can angle it up a little bit higher, and it will still work in that orientation. Oh, we didn't test the webcam yet. Let's try that. I'm just curious what the camera has. And what I'll do is I'll record my webcam B-roll here. So if I go into settings, oh, it's a 1080p webcam. Pretty cool. All right, so let me get this adjusted here. And because it sits a little high, it's a little, you'll have some headroom. There's a button. Oh, look at that. They've got, so they have a, what is that? It's like another little, oh. So it's got two stops. So it's got a camera off, so you can mute the microphone. So right now it's muted. Oh, I see. So the problem on mine, though, is that, so this is the mute microphone is on. Hang on, let's see. I'll have to look at the briefing on this. So there's a camera off. There's a microphone that's on. Oh, I see. So then that's the camera. Okay, so you got the mic on, but the camera off. And then if you go all the way over, then it turns everything off. Okay, that's what that's for. Okay, so we'll have to make a note of that. So I'm assuming, so you can have the camera off, but the microphone's still active. Yes, I don't see a control on the thing there. All right, so let me go and mark a note of this. So camera, 1080p, and shutter can also mute the mic. Yeah, so it's got like another opening on here. It kind of gives you like a vignette, and then it closes it up. Okay. So I'm going to do the little waving thing. We have to stand up a little bit here. Okay. That was exhausting. All right, so we'll save that, and then I'm going to copy this over to my NAS device. I'll just email it to myself, I guess. It's easier to email it, I think, unless I can go into the files. I think maybe I can connect to a NAS device on here. Oh, you know what's kind of neat is that the RetroArch Android app is accessible on the file system. That's pretty cool. All right, so I'm just going to email this to myself here. It's not that big of a file. I've got plenty of bandwidth. You all know that. And so what I'll do here is I will show you what the webcam looks like as soon as I download it here from my email. So let me do that real quick. Here it is. So we'll download that. Okay, so now I'm going to just copy this file out, and you'll be able to see what it looks like. All right, so if you want to see what the webcam looks like, let us do that. So I'm going to roll it in on my B-roll thing here. There we go. Looks pretty good. So 1080p. So not bad. Yeah. Not bad at all. All right, I'll take a few questions, and then I got to run. Yeah, getting a lot of chatter here. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Mando's wondering, is the display a little dark? It isn't. It's not as dark as it appears, but it's not like super, super bright. I don't know what the nits level is on it. I will find out. I don't know if Kevin is still in or not. I would say it's probably, I would guess, in the 300 nit territory. So not super bright. But it's also, yeah, so it's also a lower cost machine, so it's not going to give, you're not going to get like a super high-end display, but it looks pretty good. And just went, so it also has a little sensor on here that adjusts the brightness based on the conditions. So I put my hand over it here, you'll see that it'll get dimmer because it thinks it's darker in the room. I'm guessing you can turn that off. It'll come back up here in a second. There it goes. So I believe, let me go and pull up, so display brightness we got to get an answer to. I'm just making notes in my document here for the review later. What was the other thing we were going to look at? I'm spacing here, everybody. I got too much going on at once. Oh, how long is the OS supported for? That's right. So let me take a look. I have a link that I created, Lon.TV/ChromeOS where you can get the date for everything from Google. So the Chromebase is good until June of 2028, and that is 6 years from now. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get to a point where they make it easier to install Flex on these things later. You know, they might use that Flex product as a means of saying, okay, if you seriously want to keep using this thing 8 years after the fact, here you go. Just use it and whatever. So one of the things I want to try out is my mom has an out-of-date Chromebook now, an Asus that she got a while ago, that I got for her a while ago. So I'm eager to try to get Flex installed on that. You lose some security features when you do that, but you know, I think for her it's fine. She's not in like a corporate environment. So we'll take a look at that at some point. All right. VML wants to know, can you put Windows on it? No, you cannot, unfortunately. It would be a really cool Windows PC, actually. And you know, the architecture is here that they could probably make something running Windows in this form factor, because it's all Intel. So this is easily an Intel Windows compatible or capable machine. And I think there are ways that you can run some Windows software on it, but it would not be ideal, especially if you're looking for the best performance. But it would make a good Windows computer if they made one with Windows, in my opinion. All right. Well, everybody, it is 3 o'clock. I've got a call in a little while. I got to get the dog taken care of and get ready for a bunch of meetings this evening. But I'm going to be working on this tomorrow. So I hope to have a review done in the next couple of days on this. I'll be spending some more time with it just to get to know it a little better. But so far, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's a pretty nice little machine. This is what I like the best about it. I just like that. This is very fluid. And the base is very sturdy. Like it doesn't go anywhere. It's just like, it weighs a good amount. So and all the weight is in the bottom, so it doesn't flop around on you. And Michael, thank you for stopping by. And thank you all for stopping by. And I will be back again in the near future. I want to thank our super chatter, Grayson and Chris Downs, for becoming a member. And I want to thank you all for tuning in, because it's always appreciated to have so many of you watching as we mess around with new tech. I haven't been getting in a lot of new stuff lately. It's been like you'll notice like I've been doing topical things, not so many reviews, because I ran out of stuff. So we got stuff again. I got more stuff coming. I've got, the Nebula laser projector is going to be here tomorrow, that new one that they came up with, the bright one. I've got that. I bought a Geiger counter for the heck of it. So we'll probably do something with that. I've been having a really fun time experimenting with the software-defined radio, so we're going to be doing more with that in the near future. And yeah, lots of good stuff. So keep in touch, everybody, and I will be back again with more stuff before you know it. All right. And tune in tonight, because we're going to have an update on GeForce Now. I was able to try out the 3080 tier, so you can see how it works in 4K 60 on a Shield. Cool stuff. All right, so check that out tonight. 6:45 p.m. is the post time. All right, I will catch you all at the next one later on.